The Seasons by James Thompson. Book 3, Autumn, Part 2. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Abe Neiman. When autumn scatters his departing gleams, warned of approaching winter, gathered, play the swallow people, and tossed wide around o'er the calm sky, in convolution swift the feathered eddy floats, rejoicing once, ere to their wintry slumbers they retire, in clusters hung beneath the mouldering bank, and where, unpierced by frost, the cavern sweats, or rather into warmer climes conveyed, with other kindred birds of season, there they twitter cheerful, till the vernal months invite them welcome back, for thronging now in numerous wings are in commotion all. Where the Rhine loses his majestic force in Belgian plains, won from the raging deep by diligence amazing, and the strong unconquerable hand of liberty, the stork assembly meets, for many a day consulting deep and various, ere they take their arduous voyage through the liquid sky. And now their route designed, their leaders chose, their tribes adjusted, cleaned their vigorous wings, and many a circle, many a short essay, wheeled round and round, in congregation full the figured flight ascends, and riding high the aerial billows, mixes with the clouds. Or where the northern ocean in vast whirls boils round the naked melancholy isles of farthest Thule, and the Atlantic surge pours in among the stormy Hebrides, who can recount what transmigrations there are annual made, what nations come and go, and how the living clouds on clouds arise? Infinite wings, till all the plume dark air and rude resounding shore are one wild cry. Here the plain harmless native his small flock, and herd diminutive of many hues, tends on the little island's verdant swell, the shepherd's sea-girt reign, or to the rocks dire clinging gathers his ovarious food, or sweeps the fishy shore, or treasures up the plumage, rising full, to form the bed of luxury. And here awhile the muse, high hovering o'er the broad cerulean scene, sees Caledonia in romantic view. Her airy mountains from the waving main invested with a keen diffusive sky, breathing the soul acute, her forests huge, incult, robust, and tall, by nature's hand planted of old. Her azure lakes between, poured out extensive, and of watery wealth full. Winding deep and green her fertile vales, with many a cool translucent brimming flood washed lovely from the Tweed, pure parent stream, whose pastoral banks first heard my Doric reed, with sylvan Jed thy tributary brook, to where the north inflated tempest foams over Orcas or Betubium's highest peak, nurse of a people, in misfortune's school trained up to hardy deeds, soon visited by learning, when before the Gothic rage she took her western flight. A manly race, of unsubmitting spirit, wise and brave, who still through bleeding ages struggled hard, as well unhappy Wallace can attest, great patriot hero, ill requited chief, to hold a generous undiminished state too much in vain. Hence of unequal bounds impatient, and by tempting glory borne o'er every land. For every land their life has flowed profuse, their piercing genius planned, and swelled the pomp of peace their faithful toil. As from their own clear north, in radiant streams, bright over Europe bursts the boreal morn. Oh, is there not some patriot, in whose power that best that godlike luxury is placed of blessing thousands, thousands yet unborn, through late prosperity. Some large of soul to cheer dejected industry, to give a double harvest to the pining swain, and teach the labouring hand the sweets of toil? How by the finest art the native robe to weave? How, white as Hyperborean snow, to form the lucid lawn? With venturous oar how to dash wide the billow? Nor look on shamefully passive, while Batavian fleets defraud us of the glittering finny swarms that heave our friths and crowd upon our shores? How all enlivening trade to rouse, and wing the prosperous sail from every growing port uninjured round the sea encircled globe; and thus, in soul united as in name, bid Britain reign the majesty of the deep? Yes, there are such; and full on thee, Argyle, her hope, her stay, her darling, and her boast, from her first patriots and her heroes sprung, thy fond imploring country turns her eye. In thee, with all a mother's triumph, sees her every virtue, every grace combined; her genius, wisdom, her engaging turn, her pride of honour, and her courage tried; calm and intrepid in the very throat of sulph'rous war, on Tenier's dreadful field. Nor less the palm of peace enwreaths thy brow; for powerful is thy sword, from thy rich tongue persuasion flows, and wins the high debate; while mixed in thee combine the charm of youth, the force of manhood, and the depth of age. Thee, Forbes, too, whom every worth attends, as truth sincere, as weeping friendship kind; thee, truly generous, and in silence great, thy country feels through her reviving arts, planned by thy wisdom, by thy soul informed; and seldom has she known a friend like thee. But see the fading many-colour'd woods, shade deepening over shade, the country round imbrown; a crowded umbrage, dusk and dun of every hue, from wan declining green to sooty dark. These now the lonesome Muse low whispering lead into their leaf–strown walks, and give the season in its latest view. Meantime, light shadowing all, a sober calm fleeces unbounded ether, whose least wave stands tremulous, uncertain where to turn the gentle current; while illumined wide, the dewy–skirted clouds imbibe the sun, and thro' their lucid veil his softened force shed o'er the peaceful world. Then is the time for those whom wisdom and whom nature charm, to steal themselves from the degenerate crowd, and soar above this little scene of things; to tread low–thoughted vice beneath their feet; to soothe the throbbing passions into peace, and woo lone quiet in her silent walks. Thus solitary and in pensive guise, Oft let me wander o'er the russet mead, And thro' the saddened grove, where scarce is heard One dying strain to cheer the woodman's toil. Haply some widowed songster pours his plaint, Far in faint warblings thro' the tawny copse; While congregated thrushes, linnets, larks, And each wild throat, whose artless strains so late Swell'd all the music of the swarming shades, Robb'd of their tuneful souls, now shivering sit On the dead tree, a full despondent flock, With not a brightness waving o'er their plumes, And nought save chattering discord in their note. Oh, let not, aim'd from some inhuman eye, The gun, the music of the coming year destroy; And harmless, unsuspecting harm lay The weak tribes, a miserable prey, In mingled murder fluttering on the ground. The pale descending year, yet pleasing still, A gentler mood inspires. For now the leaf incessant rustles from the mournful grove, oft startling such as, studious, walk below, and slowly circles through the waving air. But should a quicker breeze amid the boughs sob, o'er the sky the leafy deluge streams, till choked and matted with the dreary shower, the forest walks at every rising gale roll wide the withered waste, and whistle bleak. Fled is the blasted verdure of the fields, and shrunk into their beds the flowery race their sunny robes resign. Even what remained of stronger fruits falls from the naked tree, and woods, fields, gardens, orchards, all around, the desolated prospect thrills the soul. He comes! He comes! In every breeze the power of philosophic melancholy comes. His near approach the sudden starting tear, the glowing cheek, the mild dejected air, the softened feature, and the beating heart, pierced deep with many a virtuous pang, declare. O'er all the soul his sacred influence breathes, inflames imagination, through the breast infuses every tenderness, and far beyond dim earth exalts the swelling thought. 10,000 fleet ideas, such as never mingled with the vulgar dream, crowd fast into the mind's creative eye. As fast the correspondent passions rise, as varied and as high. Devotion raised to rapture and divine astonishment, the love of nature unconfined, and chief of human race, the large ambitious wish to make them blest, the sigh for suffering worth lost in obscurity, the noble scorn of tyrant pride, the fearless great resolve, the wonder which the dying patriot draws, inspiring glory through remotest time. The awakened throb for virtue and for fame, the sympathies of love and friendship dear, with all the social offspring of the heart. Oh, bear me then to vast embowering shades, to twilight groves and visionary vales, to weeping grottos and prophetic glooms, where angel forms athwart the solemn dusk tremendous sweep, or seem to sweep along, and voices more than human, through the void deep sounding, seize the enthusiastic ear. Or is this gloom too much? Then lead, ye powers, that o'er the garden and the rural seat preside, which shining through the cheerful land in countless numbers blest Britannia sees. Oh, lead me to the wide extended walks, the fair majestic paradise of Stowe. Not Persian Cyrus on Ionia's shore e'er saw such sylvan scenes, such various art by genius fired, such ardent genius tamed by cool judicious art, that in the strife all beauteous nature fears to be outdone. And there, O Pitt, thy country's early boast, there let me sit beneath the sheltered flopes, or in that temple where, in future times, thou well shalt merit a distinguished name, and with thy converse blest, catch the last smiles of autumn beaming o'er the yellow woods. While there with thee the enchanted round I walk, the regulated wild, gay fancy then will tread in thought the groves of Attic land, will from thy standard taste refine her own, correct her pencil to the purest truth of nature, or the unimpassioned shades forsaking, raise it to the human mind. Or if hereafter she with juster hand shall draw the tragic scene, instruct her thou, to mark the varied movements of the heart, what every decent character requires, and every passion speaks. Oh, through her strain breathe thy pathetic eloquence, that molds the attentive senate, charms, persuades, exalts. Of honest zeal the indignant lightning throws, And shakes corruption on her venal throne. While thus we talk, and thro' Elysian vales Delighted rove, perhaps a sigh escapes. What pity, Cobham! Thou thy verdant files Of order'd trees should here inglorious range, Instead of squadrons flaming o'er the field. And long embattled hosts, when the proud foe, The faithless vain disturber of mankind, Insulting Gaul, has rous'd the world to war. When keen once more within their bounds to press Those polish'd robbers, those ambitious slaves, The British youth would hail thy wise command, Thy temper'd ardour, and thy veteran skill. The western sun withdraws the shortened day, And humid evening, gliding o'er the sky In her chill progress, to the ground condens'd The vapours throws. Where creeping waters ooze, where marshes stagnate, And where rivers wind, cluster the rolling fogs, And swim along the dusky mantled lawn. Meanwhile the moon, full orb'd, and breaking thro' The scattered clouds, shows her broad visage in the crimsoned east. Turning to the sun direct, her spotted disk, Where mountains rise, umbrageous dales descend, And caverns deep, as optic tube descries A smaller earth, gives us his blaze again, Void of its flame, and sheds a softer day. Now thro' the passing cloud she seems to stoop, Now up the pure cerulean rides sublime. Wide the pale deluge floats, and streaming mild O'er the sky'd mountain to the shadowy vale. While rocks and floods reflect the quivering gleam, The whole air whitens with a boundless tide Of silver radiance, trembling round the world. But when half blotted from the sky her light, Fainting, permits the starry fires to burn With keener lustre thro' the depth of heaven ; Or near extinct her deadened orb appears. And scarce appears of sickly beamless white. Oft in this season, silent from the north, A blaze of meteors shoots, in sweeping first The lower skies. They all at once converge High to the crown of heaven, and all at once Relapsing quick, as quickly reascend. And mix, and thwart, extinguish, and renew. All ether coursing in a maze of light. From look to look, contagious thro' the crowd, The panic runs, and into wondrous shapes Th' appearance throws. Armies in meet array, Throng'd with aerial spears and steeds of fire. Till the long lines of full extended war In bleeding fight commix'd, the sanguine flood Rolls a broad slaughter o'er the plains of heaven. As thus they scan the visionary scene, On all sides swells the superstitious din Incontinent, and busy frenzy talks Of blood and battle. Cities overturned, And late at night in swallowing earthquake sunk, Or hideous wrapt in fierce ascending flame Of sallow famine, inundation, storm Of pestilence, and every great distress. Empires subvers'd, when ruling fate has struck The unalterable hour. Even nature's self is deem'd to totter On the brink of time. Not so the man of philosophic eye, And inspect sage. The waving brightness he curious surveys, Inquisitive to know the causes and materials, Yet unfix'd, of this appearance beautiful and new. Now black and deep the night begins to fall, A shade immense. Sunk in the quenching gloom, magnificent and vast Are heaven and earth. Order confounded lies, all beauty void, distinction lost, And gay variety one universal blot. Such the fair power of light to kindle and create the whole. Drear is the state of the benighted wretch, who then bewildered wanders through the dark, full of pale fancies and chimeras huge, nor visited by one directive ray, from cottage streaming or from airy hall. Perhaps impatient as he stumbles on, struck from the root of slimy rushes blue, the wild fire scatters round, or gathered trails a length of flame deceitful o'er the moss. Whither decoyed by the fantastic blaze, now lost and now renewed, he sinks absorpt, rider and horse amid the miry gulf, while still from day to day his pining wife and plaintive children his return await, in wild conjecture lost. At other times sent by the better genius of the night, innoxious, gleaming on the horse's mane, the meteor sits, and shows the narrow path that winding leads through the pits of death, or else instructs him how to take the dangerous ford. The lengthened night elapsed, the morning shines serene, in all her dewy beauty bright, unfolding fair the last autumnal day. And now the mounting sun dispels the fog, the rigid hoarfrost melts before his beam, and hung on every spray, on every blade of grass, the myriad dewdrops twinkle round. Ah, see where robbed and murdered in that pit lies the still heaving hive, at evening snatched beneath the cloud of guilt concealing night, and fixed o'er sulphur, while not dreaming ill the happy people in their waxen cells sat tending public cares, and planning schemes of temperance for winter poor. Rejoice to mark full flowing round their copious stores. Sudden the dark oppressive steam ascends, and used to milder scents, the tender race by thousands tumble from their honeyed domes, convolved and agonizing in the dust. And was it then for this you roamed the spring, intent from flower to flower? For this you toiled ceaseless the burning summer heats away? For this in autumn searched the blooming waste, nor lost one sunny gleam? For this sad fate? O man, tyrannic lord, how long shall prostrate nature groan beneath your rage, awaiting renovation? When obliged must you destroy? Of their ambrosial food can you not borrow, and in just return afford them shelter from the wintry winds? Or, as the sharp year pinches, with their own again regale them on some smiling day? See where the stony bottom of their town looks desolate and wild, with here and there a helpless number, who the ruined state survive, lamenting weak, cast out to death. Thus a proud city, populous and rich, full of the works of peace and high in joy, at theatre or peace or sunk in sleep, as late Palermo was thy fate, is seized by some dread earthquake, and convulsive hurled sheer from the black foundation, stench involved into a gulf of blue sulphurous flame. Hence every harsher sight, for now the day, o'er heaven and earth diffused, grows warm and high, infinite splendor wide investing all. How still the breeze, save what the filmy thread of dew evaporate brushes from the plain! How clear the cloudless sky! How deeply tinged with a peculiar blue! The ethereal arch how swelled immense, amid whose azure throne the radiant sun how gay! How calm below the gilded earth! The harvest treasures all now gathered in Beyond the rage of storms sure to the swain. The circling fence shut up, and instant winter's utmost rage defied. While loose to festive joy, the country round laughs with the loud sincerity of mirth. Shook to the wind their cares, the toil-strung youth, by the quick sense of music taught alone, leaps wildly graceful in the lively dance. Her every charm abroad the village toast, young, buxom, warm, in native beauty rich, darts not unmeaning looks, and where her eye points an approving smile, with double force the cudgel rattles and the wrestler twines. Age too shines out, and garrulous recounts the feats of youth. Thus they rejoice, nor think that with tomorrow's sun their annual toil begins again the never-ceasing round. Oh, knew he but his happiness, of men the happiest he, who far from public rage, deep in the vale, with a choice few retired, drinks the pure pleasures of the rural life. What though the dome be wanting, whose proud gate each morning vomits out the sneaking crowd of flatterers false, and in their turn abused? Vile intercourse! What though the glittering robe of every hue reflected light can give, or floating loose, or stiff with mazy gold, the pride and gaze of fools oppress him not? What though the glittering robe of every hue reflected light can give, or floating loose, or stiff with mazy gold, the pride and gaze of fools oppress him not? What though, from utmost land and sea pervade, for him each rarer tributary life bleeds not, and his insatiate table heaps with luxury and death? What though his bowl flames not with costly juice, nor sunk in beds oft of gay care he tosses out the night, or melts the thoughtless hours in idle state? What though he knows not those fantastic joys that still amuse the wanton, still deceive a face of pleasure, but a heart of pain, their hollow moments undelighted all? Sure peace is his, a solid life, estranged to disappointment and fallacious hope, rich in content, in nature's bounty rich, in herbs and fruits. Whatever greens the spring when heaven descends in showers, or bends the bow when summer reddens and when autumn beams, or in the wintry glebe whatever lies concealed and fattens with the richest sap, these are not wanting, nor the milky drove luxuriant spread o'er all the lowing vale, nor bleeding mountains, nor the chide of streams and hum of bees inviting sleep sincere into the guiltless breast beneath the shade, or thrown at large amid the fragrant hay, nor aught besides of prospect, grove, or song, dim grottos, gleaming lakes, and fountain clear. Here too dwells simple truth, plain innocence, unsullied beauty, sound unbroken youth, patient of labour, with a little pleased health ever blooming, unambitious toil, calm contemplation, and poetic ease. Let others brave the flood in quest of gain, and beat for joyless months the gloomy wave. Let such as deem it glory to destroy rush into blood, the sack of cities seek, unpierced exulting in the widow's wail, the virgin's shriek, and infant's trembling cry. Let some, far distant from their native soil, urged or by want or hardened avarice, find other lands beneath another sun. Let this through cities work his eager way, by legal outrage and established guile, the social sense extinct. And that ferment mad into tumult the seditious herd, or melt them down to slavery. Let these ensnare the wretched in the toils of law, fomenting discord and perplexing right, an iron race. And those of fairer front, but equal in humanity and courts, delusive pomp and dark cabals delight. Wreathe the deep bow, diffuse the lying smile, and tread the weary labyrinth of state. While he from all the stormy passions free, that restless men involve, hears, and but hears, at distance safe, the human tempest roar, wrapped close in conscious peace. The fall of kings, the rage of nations, and the crush of states, move not the man, who from the world escaped in still retreats and flowery solitudes, to nature's voice attends, from month to month and day to day, through the revolving year, admiring sees her in her every shape, feels all her sweet emotions at his heart, takes what she liberal gives, nor thinks of more. He, when young spring protrudes the bursting germs, marks the first bud, and sucks the healthful gale into his freshened soul. Her genial hours he full enjoys, and not a beauty blows, and not an opening blossom breathes in vain. In summer he, beneath the living shade, such as o'er frigid Tempe wont to wave, or Hemus cool, reads what the muse of these perhaps has in immortal numbers sung, of what she dictates, writes, and oft an eye shot around rejoices in the vigorous year. When autumn's yellow lustre gilds the world, and tempts the sickled swain into the field, seized by the general joy, his heart distends with gentle throes, and through the tepid gleams deep musing, then he best exerts his song. Even winter wild to him is full of bliss. The mighty tempest and the hoary waste, abrupt and deep stretched o'er the buried earth, awake to solemn thought. At night the skies, disclosed and kindled by refining frost, pour every lustre on the exalted eye. A friend, a book, the stealing hours secure, and mark them down for wisdom. With swift wing, o'er land and sea, imagination roams, or truth divinely breaking on his mind, elates his being, and unfolds his powers, or in his breast heroic virtue burns. The touch of kindred too, and love he feels, the modest eye whose beams on his alone ecstatic shine. The little strong embrace of prattling children, twined around his neck and emulous to please him, calling forth the fond parental soul. Nor purpose gay, amusement, dance, or song he sternly scorns, for happiness and true philosophy are of the social still and smiling kind. This is the life which those who fret in guilt and guilty cities never knew. The life led by primeval ages uncorrupt, when angels dwelt, and God himself with man. O Nature, all sufficient over all, enrich me with the knowledge of thy works. Snatch me to heaven, thy rolling wonders there, world beyond world in infinite extent, profusely scattered o'er the blue immense. Show me their motions, periods, and their laws. Give me to scan. Through the disclosing deep, light my blind way. The mineral strata there thrust blooming, thence the vegetable world. O'er that the rising system more complex of animals, and higher still the mind, the varied scene of quick compounded thought, and where the mixing passions endless shift, these ever open to my ravished eye, a search the flight of time can ne'er exhaust. But if to that unequal, if the blood in sluggish streams about my heart forbid that best ambition, under closing shades inglorious, lay me by the lowly brook, and whisper to my dreams, from thee begin, dwell all on thee, with thee conclude my song, and let me never, never stray from thee. End of The Seasons, Book 3, Autumn, Part 2. This recording is in the public domain.